Good morning, my students. Today our lesson is Unit 9, Lesson 3 and 4, Grammar. Listen and read.
Listening 79. Listen and read. What has Professor invented?
This is my new survival suit. It will keep me warm in the Arctic and cool in the desert. I'm feeling very cool.
You're looking too cold, Professor. I don't think your survival suit is working. That suit is dangerous. If I hadn't been here, you would have become ice.
Don't be silly, Chip. If you had been out, I would have turned it off myself. It just needs a little more work.
What has Professor invented? The professor has invented a survival suit. Read and learn. The third conditional. Use the third conditional to talk about impossible situations. They are impossible because they are in the past and we can't change what has happened. So we are speaking about something happened in the past and we make third conditional about it. So we can't change that. So they are impossible. Okay? Look at the sentences. If I hadn't been here, you would have become ice. Okay. Here, what's the tense after if? Yes, past perfect. And the second sentence, you would have become, so we have would have plus the past participle. Okay. If you had been out, I would have turned it off myself. Okay. Here also, after if, we had the past perfect, and the second sentence would have plus the past participle of the verb. We speak about impossible situations because the opposite happened in the past, okay? If you hadn't been here, I wouldn't have worn the suit. If I hadn't turned it off, you wouldn't have survived. Here, look, if the machine had worked, he would have been happy. It means what? He would have been happy if the machine had worked. As we said before, if we start with if, we put comma between the two sentences, and if we put if in the middle, we don't put any commas. We join the two sentences using if. Again, the rule of the third conditional is what? We use the past perfect after if, and the second sentence is would have plus the past participle. Okay? Here, read and match. If they had listened to the teacher, they would have understood the lesson. Number two, if you had got up earlier, what would have happened? Yes. Huh? That's right. You wouldn't have arrived late. They wouldn't have got lost. If they had taken a nap. If I hadn't forgotten my mobile phone, I would have called you. I would have bought you a present. If I had known it was your birthday, it means that I didn't buy you a present because I didn't know it was your birthday. If you hadn't forgotten your jacket, you wouldn't have been cold. Complete the sentences. Number one, complete the sentences use the third condition. If we had played better, we would have won the match. Number two, she spaced the test if she had worked hard. Here we have if plus the past perfect. So we need here the third conditional as he told us. So the other sentence would be what? Would have plus the past participle. So would have passed. Number three, you wouldn't have been tired all day if you, that's right, past perfect, had gone. If the boys space football today, they would have been bored. That's right, past perfect, hadn't played. I space not buy this CD if I'd known it was so bad. We need here would have or wouldn't have plus the past participle, wouldn't have bought. The last one, if you had gone to the beach today, yes, you would have had a good time. Lesson 4. Listen and read. What is the information for?
Listening 80. Listen and read. What is the information for?
Trekking in the jungle. Information. Advice. You should wear light clothes and strong boots. You should also wear a big hat, as the sun is very hot in the jungle. You shouldn't bring valuable possessions, such as jewelry, but you ought to bring a camera, because you will want to take lots of photos. Rules. You must stay with your guide at all times. Do not walk into the jungle on your own. You mustn't pick up or touch any animals. Some of these will be dangerous. What to bring? You don't have to bring any food, but you have to bring a water bottle. Drinking water is very important when it's hot.
Okay, what is the information for? The information is for trekking in the jungle. Read and learn. Model verbs. Use have to or don't have to talk about something that is necessary or unnecessary. Like what? You don't have to bring any food. Okay, it means that it's up to you. If you want to bring, it's okay. If you don't want to bring, it's not necessary. It's unnecessary. Okay, but you have to bring a water bottle. So it's necessary to bring a water bottle here. Okay. Use must and mustn't for rules. You must stay with your guide at all times. It means that it's a rule. You can't leave your guide. You mustn't pick up or touch any insects or animals. It's a rule also. You can't do that. We use should, shouldn't, or ought to, or ought not to for advice. If we wanted to advise someone, we use one of these 4 words. You should wear light clothes and strong boots. It's good for you to do that. Okay, but it's not a rule, but it's good for you. You shouldn't bring valuable possessions. It's not good to bring valuable possessions because you may lose it. Okay, You ought to bring a camera. It's an advice for you to bring a camera to take photos, but it's not a rule. You ought not to bring jewelry. It's the same because you may lose it, okay? Now, read and circle. Number 1 is done for you. You must switch off mobile phones at the cinema. This is a rule. Number 2, use space. Listen to instructions in class or you won't understand. Huh? You should, because it's an advice, it's not a rule. Maybe you are not listening. It's bad for you if you are not listening, but they advise you to listen to the instructions. You have to or mustn't talk when the teacher is talking. It's very rude. You mustn't. You ought not to, you don't have to be at school 10 minutes early, but it's a good idea. You don't have to. My mom says I have to or I shouldn't stay up late on school days because I will be tired. Of course, shouldn't. Speaking, you with a partner or your friend, try to do this, okay? You ought to take some money. Yes, it's the trip to the desert. So you ought to or you ought not to. It's a trip to the desert, so you don't need money, yes or no? Okay, I want you to do that, to do this exercise with a partner. We come to the end of our lesson. Thank you very much for listening. See you next time, inshallah.